think it was basically when I saw this opportunity, I put together my savings. I think I just relocated from the US and I just sold my house in New Jersey, then so I had a bit of change. I mean, I wish the exchange was as favorable then, now as it was, then as it is now. But I did still collect some money, and I had another friend that supported me. And I always tell people that we remain in business for this long, not because we possess any extraordinary brilliance or smarts, but because we started with no funds.
In a world where great ideas often die from lack of funding, one Nigerian entrepreneur set out to change the odds. He created a venture that empowers everyday people to invest in businesses once out of their reach, unlocking opportunities, fueling growth, and challenging the way capital works. His journey is one of risk, resilience, and reimagining possibility. This is Seedvest. This is Kehinde Oyeleke. And this episode of Seed Diaries tells his remarkable story. Hello everyone, my name is Wamaka Okoye, and you're welcome to another episode of Seed Diaries. Before we continue, I would like to remind you to like, subscribe, and share. Today we have with us Mr. Kehinde Oyeleke, the Group Managing Director of Seedvest Group.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, we are happy to have you here.
Thank you.
It's such an honor. I'm so excited to have to speak with you or to speak with you today. Thank you for agreeing to come here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Seedvest. Can you tell us a bit about Seedvest? What does Seedvest do and who does it do it for?
Oh, thank you. Seedvest is a financial service group. Basically, we provide funding support for small businesses, for individuals trying to maybe buy assets or maybe start businesses. It's something we've been doing since 2002. And we have clientele in the southwest Nigeria, mainly Lagos State and Oyo State.
So who's your typical Seedvest client?
A typical Seedvest client, if such a person exists, would be a trader in the structured market. Take Okearin or Balogun in Lagos, or you go to the trade fair complex or maybe the Alaba market. These are people that have fantastic business ideas, but to bring that business idea to reality, they need financial support. And therefore, that would be our typical, if I could use that word, the client. But notwithstanding that, you could also have someone who maybe has an order that I want to fulfill and need funding to support it. Sometimes it could be someone who has imported some items and they are the port awaiting clearing. And therefore, to avoid going to demurrage, incurring losses and all that, will come in. I would say we are the save me from embarrassment kind of lender, and we come in at the point where critical finance is needed.
Okay. I see. So let me start with the first group of people, which are people that are, you said, in structured trade. So maybe like, carry markets. For many businesses, it's, the banks typically would lend to more established or, more brick and mortar. I don't know how to explain it, type of businesses. And it's very interesting to learn that that is your target market. Why did you go into that area and how did you start out?
It's an interesting question. I mean, my background was in public accounting, trained in what used to be Arthur Andersen in Nigeria, and then went abroad to do my MBA, moved from there to PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I've always been a big five accounting personnel. And then in between that, I made a trip to Nigeria, and this lady came to me, somebody I've known. She was describing where she was working, and how she wanted to be part of a different group. And within seconds of her explaining what she was doing to me, I got it. And this was a point in time when you had like 87 or so commercial banks that were really not that functional. And they were mostly trading forex and moving funds around and all that, but not much intermediation of funding of businesses was going on. And then, in addition to that, you have what they were called the community banks of the old that were mostly discredited and they were lacking funding and all that. And so that was the point we came in and basically saw a gap. If you needed maybe a couple of tens of millions in the valuation of Naira of those days, you probably will get one or two banks to support you. But if you're looking for $1 million, $500,000 or 2 million Naira, you're practically out of luck. So that was the context where you came. We saw that gap. We saw a huge number of small and medium-sized businesses having good business idea but lacking the funding to support it. And we just felt that we could fill that gap, do well and do good at the same time. And that was the motivation at that point. A lot of business ideas were dying because critical funding were in short supply. And we came. You could also say we were the forerunners of the microfinance banks that came up. And when they actually came up, we participated and actually was a big player. I mean, we remained a big player in the sector. But that's just a part of what we do. But essentially, though, funding for small businesses has always been a big challenge in Nigeria. Anybody that has started a business in Nigeria will know that the biggest issue you will face as a small business will be getting funds. Because once you run out of friends, family, and fools options, you are practically out of luck. And we have succeeded in filling that gap to the limit of our capacity the past 22 years that we've been doing this business.
That's an interesting one. Friends, family, and fools. I've been hearing of friends, family, but that last one, you mean someone that's gullible sometimes.
Somebody that has money and will buy into any story. Oh. And sometimes, I've used that word, unadvisedly, but essentially, somebody who had more money than the smarts, and those people that are funded. And as the saying goes, they more often than not they are separated from their funds.
Quite quickly.
Because businesses of that level don't gain traction. I think the failure rate is actually quite high. And sometimes the ideas have not been tested and all that. So what we get is a lot of wound to show for their kind-heartedness at that level. And even getting money from friends and families have kind of fractured a lot of relationships.
Yes.
Because once you've lost money on behalf of your friends and family, they are not that open and warm to you any longer.
No, they're not. They're not. You saw the gap.
Yes, please.
I can see the gap too. But I can't start a bank. That's a ton of money to start a bank. So how do you do it?
I don't want to start this discussion by waxing philosophical. But sitting down here, I'm not even too sure because we just started small. And trust me, we made every single mistake in the book. There's nothing, because I don't want to get ahead of this discussion. But clearly, Nigeria is a tough business to do, any business that involves lending or extension of credit, because we just don't have that credit culture. I will be careful not to generalize to a state, especially when it's something that's negative. But we don't have a culture of borrowing money and paying back. We don't seem, and when I say I'm generalizing, there are a lot of good people around, but we don't seem to have the sense of obligation that when I take this money and I make a promise to you, I must fulfill that. Of course, there are people that do that, but majority of our people don't have that. It doesn't mean they are bad. It's just kind of, you have tall people and short people, and one is not necessarily better than the other. And it's just something that is an issue. And maybe it's a universal issue, but when you compound that with the lack of maybe unique identifiers that can tie somebody's identity to who he claims to be, it's a big issue. That means the same person can be bubbling up in different places, collecting money, other different aliases, and more or less disappearing. that is changing. And like I said, I don't want to get ahead of this discussion, but clearly, lending is stuff. So how did we do it? I think that was the original question. I think it was basically when I saw this opportunity, I put together my savings. I think I just relocated from the US and I just sold my house in New Jersey, so I had a bit of change. I mean, I wish the exchange was as favorable then, now as it was, then as it is now. But I did still collect some money, and I had another friend that supported me. And I always tell people that we remain in business for this long, not because we possess any extraordinary brilliance or smarts, but because we started with no funds. Because clearly, if you start with 50 million and you lose 45 million, you're out of business. But I think we happened to start with no funds, so that all the learning that we did did not wipe us out. Because like I said at the onset, we made every single mistake in the book. So we got that together. So again, I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's okay, just flow.
You have a situation where when you are dealing with, when your business involves moving cars, paying money to people, extending credit, you're not really dealing with difficult customers that have interesting ideas or maybe separating you and your funds. You also have staff that could constructively otherwise work with the customer in that quest. Therefore, as you're watching your back with customers without appearing to be too skeptical, too untrusting, you also have to watch your back against staff that think they could make quick bucks. And sometimes the inducement could go in that direction. It could be the client who is trying to recruit the staff to work as a partner to kind of defraud you. Or it could be a staff that is recruiting customers. In fact, again, getting a bit into storytelling.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the interesting things we had at the beginning of the business was our principal manager, the lady I said brought the idea to me, was married to a guy at that point that happened to be a full-time fraudster. So this guy who recruited, he recruited a lot of very middle-aged to old women that were coming on his behalf to collect money and were disappearing. It cost the lady a career, but we also lost a couple of millions in the process. So you have that kind of situation when, in the absence of unique identifier, in the absence of proper credit scoring or credit checking system, you just don't. What you have now is at best guesswork about who they are, about their capacity and things like that. And all these things can be faked. But I think things are getting better now. But in those days, we lost a lot of money because the supporting infrastructure just wasn't there by way of credit bureau and by way of unique identifiers like the way we have BVN and NIN now. Those didn't exist way back then.
So that has made a big difference.
Yeah, it has on several levels, and I'll maybe mention just two. On one level, you're able to scrutinize an application better because at least you can tie somebody to an identity. It's not entirely foolproof. But you work for the most part with people of the credit record, and especially if the guy has scammed them, sorry for that word, in other places, you're able to see in his record that, okay, this guy has unpaid loan from XYZ. And that, and if you have unpaid loan, why should we trust with our own funds? So that has helped to weed a lot of undesirable borrowers. But it has also helped in recovering bad loans because we had people, customers that have successfully scammed us, so again, I'm using that word, and had gotten away with it. Unfortunately, when they want to go to another place to kind of continue plying their trade, they are suddenly flagged as in Seedvest. And on their own, they will now walk in freely. After we had exhausted every avenue of tracking them, they walk in and say, oh, we are owing you. And sometimes because of systems of greed, we don't even have their record. We insist on, we don't know you. No, you know us, we are owing you. and we insist on paying because unless we clear that record, they cannot successfully collect money from that next victim. So essentially, I think in those areas, I think the credit bureau system has actually helped. But still at its infancy, and there's still a long way to go. It's at its infancy because the level of subscription to credit bureau system is not as widespread as it should be. A lot of institutions either don't subscribe, or when they subscribe, they don't upload their credit information as frequently, as regularly as they should. But we are making progress.
So it'll be as strong as the database that it has and the currency of the information.
Oh, it took it out of my mouth. Yeah, sometimes the database is large, but the information is still. And then sometimes you have somebody who's, the guy will swear, listen, I finished paying the loan 6 months ago. We have interesting cases where people actually didn't take any, or believe they didn't take any loan. You know, all these fintechs and all that. Sometimes people guarantee loans are thinking, it's just a guarantee, it's not. Meanwhile, they are recorded as having taken that loan, they guaranteed, and all
For
that.
real?
Yeah. But even in the US system, if you guarantee a loan,
I've guaranteed some. That's why I'm like,
yeah, but you're a good person and you're guaranteeing good people.
yes.
Therefore, hopefully, it won't come out to bite you. But if you guarantee someone who's kind of maybe not very straightforward, then you've taken a loan, whether you meant to or not. So practically, I think those are the areas in which progress have been made. And like I said, unit identification is a big step. In the US system, where you have the social security number and all that, where no two individuals have the same number and all that. And I think we are going there, but the level of compliance still has a long way to go in Nigeria.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions that may seem primary, but there are certain businesses that people have, and I think a lot of people wonder. A lot of people aspire to be entrepreneurs and start businesses, but starting a bank is not something that most people think, I'll just go start a bank and I'll just do it. And that's what you thought. And then you did it.
Yep.
And I want you to kind of walk me through, you said you had your house, you sold your house, put the money in. Then you met a friend, or you spoke to a friend of yours about your idea, and he must have really trusted you. And I'm sure he put a lot in for you guys to be able to open a bank.
Well, when we talk about bank, we're not talking about guaranteed trust there to begin with. So we're talking about
microfinance. A bank is a bank still. It's not.
So I need to make that clarification. Yes. So I put that one, we just get a certain bank and things like that. It's a community by microfinance. It's actually a couple of them, but it's a long story.
A couple of, How many branches do you have?
No, not branch. We have 2 institutions. We have 3 institutions. 2 are banks.
Okay.
A microfinance bank, that is, and the other one is just a finance company.
Yes.
And I think, to be fair, the barrier to entry when we started wasn't that high, and it's still not very high today. The only problem, though, is that the attrition level, the rate of failure for microfinance is quite high. I think as many as, on average, between 5 and 7% of microfinance die every year. And that's the reason the number has stayed in the same range, because new licenses have been issued, even as they are kind of withdrawing the old licenses and all that. So you start small, and like I said, we actually have sufficient funding, and when we started, otherwise we'll have gone with the downgrade. But our risk management structure was also such that we were not taking, first and foremost, you have a single obligor limit to what you can give to a single individual. Okay. No matter how seductive the opportunity is, if it's beyond what we can properly manage, we'll take a pass. Okay. Because clearly you don't want to give such loans that to a client that when the person basically develop fever, you had one being hospitalized. Because if you have all your investments in just one hand, and the guy is arrested by the police, and then all of a sudden you are there perambulating the corridor of the station, which is going to release.
So make sure that he's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. But okay, so the most serious, so you have that as a kind of a guardrail to be sure that you're not kind of overshooting yourself. And regulation, it could be a bit of an inconvenience, but it also has benefits, because it doesn't allow you to get to suicidal. Because, to be sincere, one could be very, very tempting. Sometimes you could focus so much, oh, if I put this much money to this venture, I'm going to make so much money. Really, when things are being packaged for you, you think you've covered all the bases, meanwhile you've not covered anything. And sometimes what you think you're looking at and what you're looking at actually two different things. Because of the whole smoke and mirror thing, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, and that. We just can't. I mean, things can be faked. So bottom line is, I think the guardrails have been there, and I think it's prevented us from cutting. We've made mistakes though. I mean, we've had to shut down branches. We've had an entire branch structure collapse because the EMS man or EMS woman was so hopelessly corrupt that everything that system just kind of went down. So we've had that situation. But I also think banking in Nigeria, whether commercial banking or microfinance banking, is also entering another phase with the whole cybersecurity issue now, because it's a different world, and so the cybersecurity threat is getting more and more real. Because in those days, to rob a bank, you need a gun and all that, you need to put on the hood and all that. These days, it could just be somebody who's locked in the basement somewhere, and you're moving funds and all that. So it's a big, big, big issue. And I think both the regulators and the operators are kind of working almost night and day to ensure that they don't do. I mean, a very bad cybersecurity attack can destroy the entire sector if you're not careful. And it's a fight that the central bank and the other institutions are taking on headlong.
I actually know someone who had a business which was an online, based mainly on servers, and they were victims to ransomware. So they locked up their servers and they had to pay $150,000 before they released their servers. And they had to, because all their clients were on the servers. And this was in the US. And they went to the FBI to report. And the FBI said, you better pay. They want your business to run.
Yeah.
Yes. Because, I mean, they couldn't unlock it quickly and the business would have gone down. It's a problem.
Well, going to the authorities cannot even help much if the perpetrators are not operating within the domain.
Correct. It could be anywhere in the world.
It could be anywhere from next door to China. I think, in fact, we are told, I don't know for a fact, that the biggest hackers are actually based in North Korea, 4 places, and that they are the most virulent ones. So, I mean, in that sense, it's not as if you can run them up and pick them up and
no,
things
you
like
can't.
that.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think sometimes a practical measure, just have to pay the ransom and be happy. But the question is, those people that even demand ransom are even the considerate ones. I mean, if you're dealing with, look at what happened in the cryptocurrency world.
Yes, that was terrible, yes.
Sometimes people will just come here and steal the whole thing. And it's not a physical thing. The people just have access code and steal this thing. Therefore, why would they be asking for ransom when they have the whole thing?
The whole thing. True.
So
yes.
basically, it's a major issue. And I hope I'm not digressing, because cybersecurity, I'm by no means an expert
but
in
it's something.
But it's such a big threat.
So you're saying that anyone starting a bank has to have some sort of cybersecurity strategy, which was not something, I guess, initially that was a main thing to think about.
Well, to be fair, I think when we started business, I'm standing so ancient the way I'm presenting this thing. The level of automation is not even as strong as it is now, because if what you have is just a local system where people come in, you open it and they pay, and they just do a one branch operation, things like that. What can they hack into? If you're not connected to any network, it's just a standalone computer. I mean, I don't know. Somebody stealing that computer, physically carrying it away. There's nothing you could do. It's when you are basically on the cloud, or basically you have all kind of remote access that people can pretend to be who they're not, and then just and basically steal your data or worse. So when we started, it wasn't the level of automation, the level of systemic integration wasn't anywhere where it's going to be an issue. We had other threats then, but I think the rave today is cybersecurity, because I'm not a prophet of doom, and it doesn't happen in Nigeria, but very soon we're going to have an entire bank, and I'm talking about a major bank, because it used to be in the days we talk of banning bank when one trader somewhere basically bet the whole house, and then before you know it, bank went under and all that. But I think the next big threat is going to come from some hackers somewhere hacking to a poorly defended system and just cutting away the ghost.
Wow. So what can they do? Like, what are you all doing? How do you?
Unfortunately, I think it's something that you need to keep retooling, because the bad boys are also not relying on last year's technology.
They're upgrading.
They are very, very aggressive and all that. Therefore, for me to sit there and say you have to do ABCD and be that prescriptive, I mean, it will even be delusional. The reality is that one, you need to understand that when you're operating the cyberspace, it's an elevated playing level. And therefore, the kind of investment, it's like when you want to go through Central Bank, you see security guys everywhere. That's where the national treasures and a lot of things are held. You need to have the equivalent of that in the cyberspace. So basically, you need to make the appropriate investment and all that. I also need to have competent personnel. The idea of, say, oh, listen, I'm going to shoestring my way to integrated operations and things like that, it's not going to work. But especially when you're a custodian of other people's funds, because you know, one thing that is peculiar to banks is that banks typically don't lend their own money. What people banks do is pull money from ABC and then manage and lend it to XYZ and trade on the margin. And therefore, if you could be a small bank, controlling a lot of funds that are not your own. If you are focused too much, I want to keep my operation lean, I don't want to pay any cybersecurity expert or this too expensive for me, using some antiquated system that's still linked to the network. It's basically...
One day you wake up and...
It's a
it's all
dangerous
gone.
sign. It's a dangerous sign. So at the end of the day, we need to play the game. But to be fair, the regulators are basically up and doing on the issue. And I think the operators are kind of bad because there are a lot of things. In fact, there's a sing-song of the regulator globally for the past year and a half now. It's like they drum into everybody's head. When you wake up in the morning, you hear cybersecurity before you go to bed, then make sure you don't forget. It's a real risk.
Well, I'm glad that it's something that they're taking, you all are taking very seriously. You mentioned quite a number of times that you made a number of mistakes.
Yep.
Get to share maybe top 3 that you think, looking back, you could have done things differently? Or,
yeah, I think...
or those that you've learned along the way?
I think if you're asking me in terms of directionally and things like that, I think there's this adage or there's this cliche management that you hire slowly, but you fire very quickly. I would think that the biggest mistake in the business I've run is to somehow assume that somebody who has stolen once can repent suddenly have a Damascus experience and be a good person. And I have a lot of experiences in that line. It's not something sometimes when you are too compassionate, I know that. I'll give an example of one particular person. This guy was the manager and was always heavily indebted to the organization. Yeah, we just thought it was a needy staff and all that, but not knowing there was a method to his madness. So sometimes we discovered that there was a lot of this involving basically packaging his mother-in-law, his wife, cousins as customers and giving them loans that were not being paid back. And then the normal thing was that my chairman there, blessed memory now, starts listening. Ken, this guy had to go. And I took a look at how much he was owing personally. And the fact that, okay, this people that he kind of used as front for money is also owing us. You added that together, it's added up to a sizable amount of money. I say, oh, you're going to basically keep this guy, deduct this from salary. I cry every time I remember that episode because I should have just fired the guy. When he came back with vengeance and all that, and he literally basically wrecked one part of the business and all that. Because it just, I mean, and it's not an isolated issue, that was not an issue where people just came and appeal, oh, it's a good guy, she's learned that lesson and all that. When you and it's not, I don't think it's peculiar to lending.
No, it's not.
Once you have integrity issues, once you have ethical issues, not something you're wishy-washy about, I don't think you will ever regret firing a staff that has committed ethical issues. Of course, you need to be sure you're not punishing an innocent person on duty.
Yes.
But once you become the person is a thief, it doesn't matter whether it's towards a dime or a penny. Just let him go. So that would be one issue that is out there. The other thing that is along that line is to sometimes over-rely on people's judgment and subjugate your own conviction.
Oh, yes.
To them, like somebody, whether it's in the point of hiring a staff or giving a loan. I have a situation where this lady, completely resigned from a well-paying banking job and needed us to support her in this enterprise I was doing. I want to be a major distributor for, I think, for LG and all that. And I wasn't convinced. But then two of my managers came. What was going on between them? Okay, this was a lady and my two managers were gentlemen, so I'm not making estimations.
Yes.
But they were so aggressive in kind of defending. You need to give the woman a chance. Look at her story. She left banking. She did things like that. Again, we lost serious money because it was just that. So one of these lines are listening. If you're not convinced about something, don't do it.
Yes.
The third point I will make on that is that first, and I'm sure you've had this from people that have come before me. When you're the service business, you're going to have two issues in Nigeria if you're on a growing business. One is funding, the other one is personnel capacity. Especially when you're also talking of succession planning and all that, you're going to have those issues. And sometimes capacity issue can constrain you from
personnel.
From disciplining somebody, because if this guy is the anchor where he is, you think he has kind of gone past his sell-by date. But at the end of the day, you're literally shutting down the location and you can't go find a placement. And it's also very, very enervating when you're trying to recruit for a position of interview like 30 people already. And then you can't even find one person. And by the way, when you eventually find one person that, or you give her an offer, then you find out the following day with that it doesn't show because she got a better offer.
After all the work.
Yes. It gets interesting. To be honest with you, I think the entrepreneurial journey, and I think you're an entrepreneur, you're right, an accomplished one at that. We deal with the issue of Big Brother coming in and kind of swooping on our stuff because take this jackpot syndrome. You wonder, okay, what that got to do with anything? So a big bank, I'm not promoting any bank, so granted to loses their head of IT. They looked around. Somehow you have a brilliant head of IT. It doesn't concern, it wasn't your staff that jackpot. But guess what? They are coming to raid
to
you.
Take your, yes. Your own staff.
They come to raid you and all that. And then you have a situation where this guy was even properly backed up and all that. And then all of a sudden, and if it's a key man, then
you're in trouble.
Trouble already.
Yeah. Some of the things you mentioned, hire slowly, fire quickly. It's something that I have learned too. I think many times we want people to like us too. And as an entrepreneur, you are making very hard decisions. And sometimes they're unpopular. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. That's what I've realized. And I have never once regretted letting somebody go. Yeah. But the agony before I let that person go, where I'm thinking about it, trying to give another chance, and then you talked about subjugating your judgment. Because sometimes when you talk to this person and they plead, they say, give him one more chance, or making excuses. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you. Because you are the one that will bear the consequences of their action. And the longer they are there, the more damage they're doing.
And by the way, the direction of my speech or whatever seems to be oh, this guy is fraudulent and things like that. Somebody doesn't have to be fraudulent to harm you.
Yes.
You can have somebody who is as nice as anything, who is actually gentle, who is well brought up, but just incompetent. And it's as dangerous as someone who's a cook.
Yep.
Because there's this joke that if a very wicked person puts poison in food, somebody who is the devil, if a very wonderful guy, let's even say it's Mother Teresa, accidentally put the same poison in the same food,
you're still going to die.
You still die. So,
the result is the same.
So malice is not always the major condition.
The driving factor.
No,
yes.
Somebody, so we have have a situation where I have a staff, who has maybe glaucoma or something like that. Not somewhere, but whether because of that or because they didn't have it, performance is kind of weakened. And it's a sad case. He also lost his wife of late. And it's like, Ken, you're not going to fire this. And it's an head of department.
Wow.
And a lot of bad things are happening under his watch. Great guy, religious, and things like that, very pious. Okay, you can ask even one of the guys that was advocating for him the most. This guy's at HOD. Can you come and be a backup to this? Ken, you want to kill me?
But he's begging you to keep the person.
No. As an HOD.
Wow.
Now he doesn't want him
as a backup.
Say, no, but what I'm doing is peculiar. I say, so that's kind of things to deal with. And so sometimes, by the way, sentiment and all that. But the other thing I would do, and I seem to be all over the map.
No, wait,
the other thing I would mention is the kind of oversight you have at the board level. It's a big issue. If you are blessed, you have a good board, don't take it for granted. People make all kind of mistakes in the board. They think, they should go for Jack Welch level, Colin Powell level, whatever, big name and things like that. I don't want to mention Nigeria so that I don't have I'm hearing any particular heavyweight. You don't need that. I always tell people that if you are the best physician in the world, but doesn't have time for you, or what good does that do you? Therefore, person must be competent, but also must be available. Yes. Here is where I try to bring it together. As an entrepreneur, you are dealing with so many tough situations. Your staff are packaging things to you. Customers are packaging things to you. You need the guardrail. You need somebody to talk with. You need people you need to present to. I say, listen, guys, let me check this doesn't make sense. When you don't have that, life is good. Until one day, things are packaged to you, and because there's nobody beyond that does the checking, you go and make the commitment and the cost to be and say, oh my God, I wish somebody had asked me, Ken, why are you doing this? So having that oversight is important. That, okay, of course, you don't want an antagonistic board, but you also don't, you also don't want a rubber stamp board. Yes. And one thing to avoid, of course, to put all the big names together and say, listen, retired general, this, former head of this and that, or you go and get about to retire head of what name of this manager with wearing bow tie.
Adewumi.
Get him on your board and all that. Akinwumi,
yes.
Additional.
Yes.
Get him. Yeah, it's a good name.
Does he have time?
Be sincere with yourself. You're only an SME, so accreditation is going to come there, and unless it's maybe he owes you something from way back. So, but the bottom line is, people that are not so distracted, and they are going to add value, you need to have that checks and balances, and they're more often than not, they are protecting against yourself.
Yes, your judgment, your blind side.
You're being distracted, and by the way, the staff also kind of the staff watches you. They know the best time of the day to come to you. Like, for example, now you are rushing somewhere and they say, oh, madam, before you go sign this, you keep somebody waiting somewhere. You don't have the time, and you also don't want to delay this. How do you sign? They know. We're dealing with very, very crafty people.
Wow. So you have to be really careful.
Yep.
Yeah. There was something you were saying earlier about incompetence being as harmful as malice, because the result is what is important. And it reminds me of an incident I had when I first came back to Nigeria. I had a driver that I really liked, just pleasant person. And one day but he was a rough driver, not careful. And one day we were on Third Mainland Bridge, and he was going so fast, wasn't paying attention, and a vehicle stopped suddenly. There wasn't enough braking distance. So as he tried to brake and, we're screaming, so the first car stopped, second car stopped, and then we were coming behind and we're going so fast. The second car moved aside and, cleared.
Just clear off the road.
And we stopped just before the first car, which means if the second car had not moved aside, we would have crushed that car and we would have all died. I was so shaken. And so I went home and I said to my dad, then we hadn't moved back. My family was still in the US. So I was still with my parents. I was coming back for projects. And I said to my dad, this is what happened today. And I said to him, this guy is such a reckless driver, but he's such a great guy. Like, I really like him. My dad said,
I couldn't find another job for him.
My dad said, are you looking for a friend or a driver?
Brilliant.
That's the question he asked me.
Brilliant.
And I thought that was so profound.
Yeah.
So I let him go the next day. You hired this guy to drive. He can't drive. No matter how much you like him.
Wamaka, I thank God for your life. And I wish I had your kind of luck, because I had a driver. And this is not about drivers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, people that urge you to show restraint, people that appeal on people's behalf, they turn around and blame you.
When things go wrong.
Because I was going to fire my driver. He came to me crying, this and that. People came and appealed. When this guy drove me and had a bad accident, I'm sure, basically, I got so many surgeries and all that. I say, okay, I've been trying to tell you. That I say, be careful. Listen, be careful of that guy. Is so vague and so meaningless. Why did you just say this and that and
Yes.
so forth? Wait, it's not about drivers.
No, I think the point we're going to is, don't subjugate your judgment. You have to trust your judgment, because you are the one that bears the consequences at the end of the day. That's the point.
But there is something, be careful I say this. There's a thing that people that at our level, let's say in the American system, the master soul that we struggle with here, they rely so much on their instinct. Like, somebody shows up, is so well dressed, speaks very well, everything like that, and something just off about him. 99% of the time, Nigeria will hire that guy. Maybe because we have such a small pool that when you see somebody who is manageable, we kind of just grab him. In the US, the manager just says, no, I'm not feeling that guy. It might be the handshake, it might be anything. It might just be like...
I'm not sure it's because of a small pool. It's something I'm learning as a leader. I remember my partner in business then, who was a co-founder, she's moved on to another business. At some point she told me, more than 90% of the time when we interview and you say, I observed this, I observed that, when we hire anyway, what you said comes true more than 90% of the time. And I have now learned to trust my judgment.
Yeah.
Because many times we think it's just instinct, but I have realized that it's not only instinct.
Yeah.
There are signals that you are catching from that person's behavior.
But Omaka, let's be sincere about this. It's like you've gone to like 7 or 8 different bookers and you can't find food. And then you stumble on one and say, oh, we have this, and it's not your favorite food. You know what? I'm tired. I'm starving. Sometimes when you you're totally exhausted, kind of sifting through so much garbage to even find one manageable guy. And this guy come up. You're not going to say, oh, because I'm not feeling it. Okay, let him wait. So he said, if he come back, because if you are spoiled for options, you could not basically manage a guy that you're not feeling.
No, but I stopped doing it.
It depends on how much what your partner needs that. Because if you need to fill a play, what are you going to do?
No, I stopped doing it because the cost for me has been very high.
Absolutely.
So what I do now is, that's why I begin to, like, I've started to study why am I not comfortable with this person? And many times when I process my interactions with that person, I can spot what it is. And so once I can spot it, it means there's a validity. Yeah. And like when I extrapolate, it shows me what it will end up being.
I have no issue with that. But let's say, for example, that, okay, I have a branch manager that is being confirmed to be a thief. I need to fire her, but I need a replacement. I've interviewed like 30 people, and this guy shows up. Doesn't come across as a thief, but I'm just not feeling it.
Okay.
I am worn out. That this lady had to go. What do you mean?
Okay, so we
can discuss this
I hear you in that instance.
Over this, but it's a big issue. I think because ultimately, I mean, the pool. I mean, running a small business in Nigeria. Two things are going to constrain you: funding and personnel.
True.
Almost every other thing you can buy.
Okay.
If you have funding, of course, you're not buying funding. But the capacity is the issue, because it's a tiny, and it's alarmed me when they say, oh, we have 70% unemployment rate. I say, listen, how employable?
Yes.
This guy.
Yes. It's
even today, before coming here, a graduate of coming here, he wrote a letter to me for me to sign. Not for me to sign, just something he wrote for me to at least approve. And I looked at it from top to bottom. I couldn't see the date on the letter. In addition to that.
Yeah, so how can you write a letter without a date?
Even they have this style of when they sign their name, they put the date. That wasn't the way we were raised. So I had to ask, which school did you go to? I won't tell you which she gave me. Which school did you go to? Another. So we're dealing with all that. And to be honest with you, if this person comes, she's done credit before, couldn't write the letter. Why her now? Maybe to do my letter myself.
Yeah, there are challenges. So what do? What strategies do you use to mitigate them?
I don't want to be dishonest with you. I'm still dealing with these issues. First and foremost, if somebody doesn't fit in, you fire them. And I don't know whether this is a risk strategy, because one thing that we've done is to contain our growth. Because if you don't have competent personnel, the more outlets you have, the more avenue for you to be injured.
Yes.
Therefore, we just maybe with time we rely more on technology and all that, and maybe less on personnel. But the reality is that we have to shut down one or two. I don't know whether that's something I would recommend. 2 locations, because rather than have a location that I constantly looking at, just shut it down and all that. Not because business is not there. Or the business is there, but it's kind of siphoning money away from you. So that's something we've done. And like I said, in the future, we're going to investigate use of maybe technology
to expand your reach.
Reach, if you could. But ultimately, there's a limit to how much you can rely on technology.
Yeah, I think you've hit on something that is a challenge for many businesses, and that is capacity to increase. A lot of businesses are constrained because they don't have the manpower. It's not even just money, because sometimes you can have a lot of money, but to have the people that you can trust and that are competent is a challenge. And for me, that's a business idea, because you can imagine if there's someone who can round up those people and train them. Like, yeah, it's a business idea. I'm just
But we
thinking,
want to be running a recruitment agency.
not for me, but I'm saying it's for somebody out there.
A mutual friend does that and does it very well.
Uh-huh.
So,
But providing a lot of training, almost like a mentoring thing straight out of school. Because even recruitment now, I'm now going to schools to make internship opportunities available so that we begin to weed out people, like then the ones that are good, offer them jobs before when they graduate, to come back and work.
I don't mean to interrupt you, and I'm not saying we shouldn't try it, but there's almost no perfect winning formula.
No, there isn't.
I have had someone that looks so promising and all that, and then job got what looked like a clerical job at Airtel and left. Maybe 20,000 naira additional money, which could mean a lot, because that 20,000 investment may be effectively doubling salary, because after she has paid that, maybe 20K is what she's left with. Now with additional 20K, that's 40K. But the point I'm behind this was the person I would tell you, we found this person will groom her, and you can't be too sure. Thank God, I think the old jackpot thing is kind of maturing now, because I think 2-3 years ago it was the rave.
Yes.
And everybody's ambition is to just kind of get the heck out of
So they're not serious about their jobs at that time.
No, because even when they were somehow procuring the visas in those, 2-3 years ago. Therefore, when somebody is even there and all of that, next thing is that, I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to UK, I've gotten visa, I'm going to kangaroo school program, after which I will kind of disappear into the society and all that. And they say, do you have something lined up? No, I don't have anything lined up, but I'm tired and all that. So it's a combination of so many things. But to be honest with you, I don't even think there's anything peculiar to what I do day to day. I'm an SME dealing with peculiar SME issues.
Yes.
And the bigger one, not even what we've talked about, the bigger one is maybe succession. And maybe it's a function of where I am in life and all that, because we can't say, okay, if I need to kind of skill them, who do I hand over to? And you have people that have been around for, or you've tried them with many opportunities, they kind of floundered it. You ask yourself, okay, if this is, the late Ghanaian Fawemi wound up his practice when he died and all that. And I'm not saying I'm privy to why, but I'm almost in that frame of mind that I just don't know whether the next generation the options I have today maybe it's different in other places. I don't have that much confidence in them. And by the way, this is an admission of failure on my part, whether you want to blame the failure on the system or this or that. But the reality is that, we do this for something you couldn't group successors. They are there, but the question is, they have been consistently incapable of taking good decisions. Good people.
Yes, judgment is key. I've discovered in hiring management or keeping management, the biggest thing I believe is judgment. If a person doesn't exhibit sound judgment, then they cannot be good. Apart from being honest, they cannot be good managers.
And I think, maybe we as business managers need to actually have constant interaction where these kind of issues
are discussed
and all that, because I don't believe for a second that these are peculiar to.
No, it's not peculiar.
And maybe somebody's going to come with a brainwave or going to be a solution, or maybe, like you said, maybe it's a business idea, and who says we cannot birth a company that will be doing the grooming and all that. But you also can't bind them. It's not as if we've trained you. You train them, and then next they're in Montreal, Canada, and what are you going to do? Extradite them back. So just.
Wow. So the succession one is a big thing, and it has, again, to do with the pool, number one. Then you talk about intentionality. if you have people that, they can just do, and you're managing them, they're able to do what they're doing.
Yeah, I
That's
have
what I'm saying. That's what you have. Yes.
Yeah, but the question, if I'm not there,
They cannot.
who do? And in
Yes.
fact, I'm so full of myself, I think I'm the only one. But the question at the end of the day is that the few times you stepped aside, I mean, the house almost burned down.
So what you're saying is, first of all, looking out for that early enough. And
Absolutely.
then secondly, now actively looking for people who, like, instead of just because it's comfortable and it's working for now.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound defeated, but even if you started
Mhm.
early enough and you recruited this person, you groomed him or you groomed her, and this person ticks all the boxes. What makes you think
They're staying.
they're staying?
So it can't be only one person. You need to have 2 or 3. I know you're laughing, but nobody's true.
And they all can, even if they are 10, they can't leave.
No, but what I see, one of the things, so we in one of the conversations that we had earlier on, I think it was Dr. Ajayi.
Yeah.
He actually talked about this problem.
Yeah.
But what he said was, early enough, finding a way to give access to some ownership.
If they will understand it.
So that's making sure. But then if they can't understand it, then they shouldn't be in line for succession.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's the point. Because, I mean, don't for me, you and I, we have a bit of American background.
Yes.
So I came into this business, listen, equity options.
Yes. It's too abstract.
It's too abstract.
So
what matters is listening.
How much are you paying me now?
What are you paying me now?
So my team, I've had those conversations with them, and you're right. Some of them, it doesn't really work. And there are people that I'm looking into succession. So I started working on now bonuses, like as the work is coming in, divvying out more money to them. So they are seeing the money as it's coming.
Yeah, but if you just create a bunch of mercenaries.
No, what I'm doing is I'm building trust.
Amen.
What I'm saying that is I'm building trust, because that means when I start talking about the more abstract things, they will first of all believe that it will come. Because if I say, if you do this, I'll give you this bonus, I can say it and I won't do it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So by the time I've done it consistently, then I tell you that, if you wait for this period, you will also get this, and it's sizable enough. At least there's the hope that they will believe, because that's what he had shared is working for him. And I mean, he hasn't left yet.
I'll be careful, because there are sectoral peculiarities.
True.
If you're working with a bunch of doctors whose career track is to remain doctors anyway. So question is, are they local, or are they looking at moving abroad? But at least, yeah. But the most business options are more fluid than that. If I have an accountant and I do all these things, can come and work for you. Can work anywhere else. So I understand all that. The issue is that everybody in the business needs to run their race.
Yes.
But it's a major issue and all that. It's a tough one.
So what do you plan on doing?
I don't know.
You're still thinking about it.
I think, let me tell you what I would think I would do is maybe to speak out some more.
Yes.
Get counseling, because first I'm not too sure that's what I would talk to. I say, okay, this is the solution. But maybe we're going to have a kind of light bulb moment. Say, wait a minute, let's do this and all that. We've tried all sorts. We have enough bonuses. But what happens with time is that my people know that they know what time of the year the bonuses are paid. And if people that want to leave, will make sure that they kind of hang in there until they collect their bonus.
So the bonuses I'm talking about they're not general bonuses. They're actually performance based, and they're not annual.
Yeah.
So they actually earning. It's not, you know how, so I stopped, I don't do anything apart from salary. I don't do anything that is company-wide anymore because I noticed that it is not useful. It's not helpful. It becomes an entitlement.
Oh, yeah.
So I stopped it. So apart from people's salaries, anything else they get that is extra has to do with something they earned. And so A may get and B won't get. And for me, it has worked. It has stopped the sense of entitlement.
Yep.
It has caused people to be inspired, like to feel like, okay, if I work harder, I'll, or if I'm more effective, let me put it that way, I will be rewarded.
You know, this is something that we need to brainstorm and maybe even write a book on.
I think we
because
should.
we need to kind of compare perspectives.
A round table.
I
think this is a big problem because
it's a big issue.
We've had a few people talk about that, and I would like it's something I'll actually follow up.
Yeah,
I'll follow up on
I think
this.
something we can share perspectives on. I don't think
even on Stanford Seed, we can just call a group together and we talk about the succession
we haven't
plan.
bedded it down and all that.
You're correct. Yes,
but it's something it's something I would like to learn more because I'm struggling badly with it. It's a big issue, big issue.
So, what is gratifying when you look at your journey, Seedvest?
A couple of things. I have gone to conferences in Nigeria and sometimes outside Nigeria when a strange-looking guy comes. I mean, basically sees me and does some kind of respecting me. Maybe you greet whatever. I find out and say, "Oh, you don't know me? Oh, I used to work for you. I'm now the MD of this and this and this and that." He gave me several comments. So we groom this. To the glory of God, I probably can count maybe 10, maybe 12 CEOs
that passed through your organization.
Oh, wow. And they're doing well. I mean, some have moved to fintech and the kind of building names and all that. So that makes me happy. We have customers that we started with that maybe they even started with an Okada or with a Onka. And today they have fleet of vehicles.
Wow.
And all that. We do this for 24 years, so been on it for a while. We've had schools that we funded when they were just small and needed to get a permanent place. And today they have 3, 4, 5 locations with maybe thousands of students and all that. I'm not saying that we are uniquely responsible for their success, but it's good to be part of such success stories.
Yes.
So those are things that I find very gratifying. Things I find very stimulating. And then we've had a situation where somebody brought some a fridge or something like that. We told them back, we don't want it. They said, no. God has done so much for me that if I don't drop this, I will be miserable and all that. So we've had so many situations like that. Of course, what I could have kind of, maybe the question they asked me, okay, what kind of pisses me off the most in this business? Things happen. We've given loans to customers that basically went home and died. Totally unconnected with the loan. Their time was up and all that. It's life. If you have enough customers, your customer will die. I mean, that's normal. So people having life challenges are things I can deal with. What gets me, what kind of rubbishes me, when the customer comes in, does some packing and presenting, collects money and disappears. He's a first timer. We have never dealt with him before. He wasn't carrying a gun. He didn't have money. He did not actually came to withdraw his deposit. He just came in. It doesn't even matter how much, whether it's 500,000 or 10 million or 15 million or whatever. The idea that you can come and rubbish my system, I don't. But things that make me happy when we are part of people's success stories, I get a lot of kick from that.
Yeah, I would imagine, because funding is a big problem for many businesses. And to be a great part, which is why you started it in the first place, to bridge that gap. So to be able to look back and see all the businesses that you have helped and all the individuals that you have helped, knowing that you're part of that solution, many businesses will not succeed. You might say, yes, you're not the one doing the business, but without funds, they will not be able
And I
to
don't know whether I will use the
move on.
word help, because I think that would be a bit, that would be too much self-adulation. We did business
You're
together.
you're making money
I didn't
from
do
it,
it out of
but
the goodness of my heart.
yeah,
Basically, it was a business transaction. So I wouldn't say we helped them.
yes,
But we worked together, and I think through our partnership,
yes,
they've gone on to do bigger things.
yes.
That I find very gratifying.
That would be very gratifying. Excellent. So I asked you what was next for Seed Diary, for Seedvest, and you're like, you're not sure, right?
What's next for Seedvest?
Mm-hmm.
I think what's next is actually to, however, I find good successors, because I don't think it's one person.
Yes.
Because interestingly, people that are actually next to me in the hierarchy in the organization, that actually show a bit of judgment. They're older than I am. And I'm not sure exactly, your spirit chicken. Therefore, the next challenge is just to identify those people and gradually empower them, give them stock of even if with time they take 40-50% of business, at least if it's a growing business and you're not coming to take it, we are begging a bigger pie and you're getting your share.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So, but the question you want to ask me, what's next for me?
Yes.
When you're at a junction and like every road, all the everywhere looks alike, you don't know where to turn around that. I've had a good career. Even when I started this, was in public accounting, PwC and all that. Went back to John Capital, private equity and all that. So I consider myself a multi-talented person. Even when I joined ARM as an executive director for corporate finance and all that. So when I wanted to do something for myself, I could have done anything from my own accounting practice. I actually have an unused practice license to start my own investment company and all that. So I went this route because I just wanted I see the opportunity to do good and do well at the same time. And I don't think I've regretted for once. Even with all the misadventures we've had, I think I'm happy. So what's next for me so that I don't get too long-winded? I don't know. I think clearly the process, of course, I finished my doctorate and all that. But I don't
You
see.
finished your doctorate?
Yeah.
When?
I defended my thesis in December. Legal Business School and all that. But
you know I am like.
Oh, you too, Jody.
I started, but carry on.
Oh, you started?
Since.
Okay, so we need to kind of give you some show.
I need that push.
Here or abroad?
Abroad.
Okay, we'll talk about that
okay.
off camera. Oh, yeah, I think you just have too much. Again, to be fair, your mother, your wife, and all that. Because again, this is basically extending this discussion. I always have a pair of socks and a pair of shoes in my car and all that. So if I manage to kind of shower, brush, and all that, I can go into the car with, even the jacket can be in the car overnight. And that. A mother cannot do that. Oh, what is the child going to wear? Even need to drop off in school. So when I see women that are also excelling professionally, and I'm not trying to sound nice or anything like that, you guys put in much more than we do. Because,
true that.
Yeah. So you are distracted, not because you wanted, because you have so many fish. So much fish to fry. So, but at this point, I think especially now that kids are growing, we need to push it.
Yes, I need that push.
And the thing with doctorate at the end of the day is that, it's not a structured program. Like, second semester,
yes.
You take 3 years, you take 10 years.
Yes,
Whenever you finish, you finish. So far as you're not committing a crime, they'll keep collecting your money.
Yep.
And so for me, I really don't. But what I would like to do, though, is at least, like I said, find myself with getting success, and depending on how strong the successors are, things like that, I can take this to the next level, and then support them and all that. And then maybe figure out maybe a bit more philanthropy and all that. And I don't know what space that will be. I don't know whether it's grooming young people, even all these things probably we identify. People graduating with first class or having bad attitude about work, people not being employable, people having entitlement mentality. Can we do something in that space and all that? And maybe join a couple of board and nurture other businesses and all that. But I think I'll be more focused on giving back.
Yes.
If that giving back now has a kind of reward component, maybe
Great.
it's great, but I think we've grabbed enough.
You've done really well, and I want to address the viewers. We've had a few interviews, and in these interviews, people are talking about looking for people they can trust, people that are competent. And I'd like to encourage you. You might be thinking of starting a business, and if that's the case, maybe you're an entrepreneur, or you might be thinking of starting a business because you think that's the only way that you can make money, because you feel like working for someone will not be rewarding enough. However, there are businesses that are looking for successors. We interviewed Richard Rotoye a while back. For Creditville, he didn't start the business. He was brought on to head the organization, and he's made it into a huge group of companies in a short while, and he's doing really well. So you might want to look at that and see if you can build up your skills and your discipline, your competence, and you're trustworthy. The truth is, people will pay a ton of money for that to keep you. And the difference between being an employer and an employee is when you start a business, you're taking all the risks. Whereas if you join a business that's already started and they're looking for someone to take over, you're learning on someone's dime, and they're willing to trust you to do those things. Now, I'm not saying don't be an entrepreneur. I'm just saying it's something to consider. It seems to be a big problem and a big need where you can be high up there, make good money. So it's something to consider. But by all means, if you feel that you need to start a business, we're there for you. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been such an honor talking with you, learning about Seedvest and your journey. Thank you so much.
Okay, we can't thank you enough for what you've done for this nation and for the Stanford Seed network. You've committed your time, your resources, and it's only God that can reward you. You've been a wonderful leader. And thanks for your time this afternoon.
Amen. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. All right, then. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Seed Diaries. If you haven't already done so, I'd like to remind you to like, subscribe, and share. Till next time, it's bye.